In this podcast with Jeanine Sciacca, we discuss how to manifest the life of your design. She shares her deep insights, knowledge, and experience on the importance of gratitude, cultivating awareness, and keeping your thoughts and your emotions aligned. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and leave your feedback in the comment section below. Thank you.
Welcome, everyone, to the Better Minds podcast, where we speak to people who are interested in general wellness, holistic wellness, where we integrate body, mind, and spirit. And today, my special guest is Jeanine Sciacca, a Silva Life Instructor, an author, and a John Maxwell Life Coach. Welcome, Jeanine, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Sudesh. It's a pleasure. It's an honor to be here. Thank you.
Jeanine, today what we'd really like to speak about is this whole world of manifesting. When we think about the subconscious mind and the conscious mind, that's where we set up our goal, our purpose. But if it was that easy, we would set up a goal, execute, and achieve. Yet most of the world is struggling with this very basic concept. It seems very basic, simple. Decide what you want in life, create a plan, execute it. And if it was really that way, everybody would be living the life of their own design. But yet every day we find people are struggling with it. We actually find there's a huge gap between where we are, the things that we want feel very far away. So in that context, what does manifesting actually mean? How would you explain that to somebody who's struggling to achieve their goal, to say that I'm trying to get there, but I can't really get there? And I read about things like manifesting, and I'm a bit confused. How is it different from anything else that I've tried? And what are the things that I need to start considering to bring it into my life so that I can achieve my dreams and my goals?
Well, lovely question. The truth is that everybody is manifesting 100% of the time. The difference is awareness. Some people think that some people are lucky because they just kind of get everything they want. It looks like they have a lucky star shining over them. Everything kind of works out for them. So people look at people like that and they go, that person's so lucky. Other people who are called the unlucky, nothing goes right for them. It's generally someone else's fault. And, it always seems to be out of their control. And we look at people like that, or they call themselves unlucky. And then you get people who actually create their own luck. Now, if you take those three kinds of people, the lucky, the unlucky, and those who create their own luck, is it really true that some people are lucky and unlucky? Or they're just not aware of what they're doing with their thoughts and their feelings all day long? They're not aware. So they're creating their reality on default setting. Whereas the person who creates consciously, deliberately, and intentionally has a high level of awareness, and we call those people a powerful manifester because they actually deliberately create the life of their own design. So the answer is everyone is manifesting 100% of the time. The ones that feel that they're out of control are the ones who are not aware of how all the things that go wrong for them, they actually are creating. So step one, we must take 100% responsibility for every single result in our life and own it. And some people don't want to do that, Sudesh. They honestly don't. But if a person does want to become good at manifesting, that's really a prerequisite. You've got to take responsibility and believe that we are not victims, and believe that we do create our own reality, because we do. Every personal development book and every philosopher for more than 6,000 years have all said the same thing. We become what we think about. So we do create reality. So if a person says, but you don't know what happened to me, I'll say, well, I'll give you an example. Even COVID. So COVID just happened to me. Well, that's true. In the bigger scheme of things, COVID happened to everyone, but you will find within that period, some people had very bad times and hard luck, and others had the best year or two of their life and story, I have to be honest. I was one of them. I had a fantastic COVID year. It was one of the best years in my business. I enjoyed every minute of it. And I spoke to Laura Silva, the daughter of Jose Silva, quite a lot during that period. I was actually having her as my personal mentor at the time. And she said the same thing. She said, this has been one of the best years ever. So that goes to prove that we do create our own reality, even within a bigger scheme of things, something like a pandemic. So we all are creating our own reality. The difference is awareness.
Yeah, I like the way you explained about the lucky, the unlucky, and those who create their own luck. And the fact that we are actually manifestors. We are doing that all the time. We're busy creating our reality. And it's the level of awareness that we have that helps us to find that path or that power, the superpower that everybody's looking for. And I must say, when I started this journey and I was faced with this thought that I am 100% responsible for everything in my life, it was very frightening, and it took a long time for me to really come to that point where I could accept it, because we grow up in an environment where we are disempowered. Decisions are made on our behalf. We're told this is the way, this is the path that you must follow if you want to be successful. This is what you must do if you want good relationship. This is what you must do to earn good money, etc., etc. And so it almost feels like we're very distant from ourselves, and we start becoming the victim, as you've mentioned. And then things are happening to us. So the first step really is that awareness and starting to work towards a point where you can start accepting that whatever is happening around you, in some way, you have got a responsibility to respond or to react in a specific way. How does somebody with a victim attitude, who's in that position where the environment is very hostile, physically, emotionally, economically, doesn't really matter what the situation is, but if they feel that things are happening around them that they cannot control, how do they start working with something to get into that mindset of, okay, I am the manifester, and that I can start doing something, start breaking this mold of always being the victim? What is the first step in the journey?
So I think if anyone's listening to this, pick up a pen and paper, maybe make some notes, and maybe you want to write this thing down. Our beliefs determine our living experience. Our beliefs. So if a person has a belief that they live in a hostile world, whatever it may be, they honestly will experience that. So we first create our beliefs, and then we prove them back to ourselves. But we first create the belief. So if a person wanted to change the experience of being in a hostile world to being in a kind world or whatever it may be, something better, you need to create a new belief. Now that sounds very simple, but to create a new belief is actually like in the Silva method, the whole program, especially the technique for goal achievement or problem solving, the mirror of the mind, the whole purpose of the technique is to create a new belief, because what the mind can conceive and believe it can achieve. So we've got to create a new belief, because your beliefs determine your living experience. So if someone says, this is my life, it's hard here, it's hard there, I don't have money, I've got a tough relationships, I live in a violent place, it may over time have been an incident here, an incident there, and the person says, oh, look, it's like this. And through repeating the same thought over and over again, we create an attitude. Okay, it's quite dangerous, quite hard, it's quite difficult, and struggle. And then when they start thinking that with that attitude, they, by the law of attraction, attract that into their life, and then it just reinforces and reinforces their same belief. So the best place to start, I would say, for anybody is just find everything and anything to be grateful for. Once you move into gratitude, you can't be in two places at the same time in your mind. You can't be aware of problems and grateful. It's impossible. You can't have positive and negative thinking at the same time. Your brain can only do one. So if you go to gratitude, you could just be as simple as, I'm grateful that I can see through my eyes. I'm grateful that I can hear the conversation between you and I, Sudesh. So I got a good hearing. I'm grateful that I'm actually in a house. So I am living better than many other people around the world. I'm grateful that I had dinner tonight. So Some people don't even have food. So I'm just grateful for family. I've got parents. I'm grateful for the friends in my life. As I'm going into gratitude like this, I am honestly and truly changing my state of vibration. So at the lowest level, everything in this universe is energy. If I take this glass, the water, me, my body, the air, molecules between us, the computer, the technology, it's all made up of molecules and atoms. Atoms at the subatomic particle are particles of energy in a state of vibration, but it's energy. And then in different states of vibration. So a person, you can measure it with an instrument. A person who's very, very happy is at a high state of vibration. A person who's very angry at a low state of vibration. So if a person's aware of everything that's wrong, I'm aware of the crime, I'm aware of my money problems, I'm aware of the argument with my partner, I'm aware of my sore knee. Those are all negative thoughts. As we think then, instantly they create feeling. Feelings are a word we've invented to help us explain the state of vibration that we feel in the body. But we don't know how to say, oh, I feel a different state. We say, I'm happy or I'm unhappy. So we first have a thought, then we have a feeling. If the feeling is bad, negative, we have a low state of vibration. And this is how everything manifests. It manifests by law. It doesn't manifest by what we want. We don't manifest what we want. We manifest by the law of attraction. So we actually manifest a match to who we are at this very moment and what we are kind of attracting through our state of vibration. And you could call that what we're broadcasting out, for lack of a better term. What we're broadcasting out to the world is a state of vibration because we do vibrate. So everything is a vibrational match. So if a person went into gratitude, you raise your state of vibration, and all you can attract now are things that are a vibrational match to make you grateful again and grateful again. So more things to be grateful for. So beliefs are the problem. I just say this to everybody. I teach a course called Silva Manifesting. And the whole course, we say this about 100 times. What is one thing that you really want and have wanted for a long time, but do not yet have? Whatever that thing is, you've got a limiting belief there. So let's say, what do you want but don't yet have? Okay, more money. How much more money? They'll tell you the number. If you ask the person, what do you believe about your situation and money? What do you actually believe? And if they're honest, they will start to tell you things that are competing with what it is that they want. They'll say something like, I believe it's hard, or it's not easy just to make more money, or opportunities are limited, or there are not many jobs around, or unemployment's high, or the economy's bad, or whatever it may be. But they will tell you things that they believe, and their situation is proving what they believe. So your situation is a reflection of your belief. So again, the way to go from A to B to manifest, we've got to be aware of what it is that we want. So the first step is you've got to be clear on what you want. You can't say, I want to have more money. That's not a goal. The subconscious mind can't even work with that. What it is that you want, I want so much more money. Give it a number, X amount. Okay. The next question is by when? Oh, I don't want to answer that. What if you have to say by when? Because you've got to have a target for which the subconscious can aim for. Because your subconscious mind, let me explain this. Your conscious mind is what you're aware of, your thoughts. If you're aware, I'm talking to you, Sudesh, right now, and I'm debating or discussing or reasoning, I'm using my thinking mind, my conscious mind. But there's another part of our mind that we're not aware of called subconscious. That means sub, it means below. Conscious means awareness. That's below your awareness. You don't know what's in your subconscious. I don't know what's in my subconscious. Well, Jeanine, how do we know then how to change our lives? Because your subconscious determines, 1, your state of vibration. 2, all your beliefs reside in there. So when you've got limiting beliefs, that's where they are. Your habits are in your subconscious. And you attract into your life a match to, if you're not consciously aware, just like going on autopilot, your subconscious, default setting, your most common feeling Okay, so what do we need to do? We need to change the subconscious to attract difference in the subconscious beliefs. If I attract a new belief, it would be like this. I have so much money, I'd like to have a different amount of money. First of all, it can't be something ridiculous. It can't be a person saying, I earn 100,000 and now I want to earn 1 million. Because at a deep subconscious level, do you believe you can go from 100,000 to 1 million? I don't know. If you kid yourself, it's not going to work. If I said 100 to 150,000, the person could say, yes, I feel a bit more comfortable. Great. Now we're at the right number. I don't know what the number is. I'm just giving you an example. Go for that number. Once you've got that number, the truth is you do not believe yet that you can make 150,000. Because if you did believe it, you would have it in your life. How do I know that? Because your beliefs determine your living experience. This is neuroscience. It's proven. Okay, so we've got to create a new belief. What's the new belief? The new belief is, I am earning 150,000, but it's not what the statement is. It's what that feels like. So the process of manifesting is we close our eyes. This is what we do in the Silva method even. You're a Silva graduate, so you know. And we visualize ourselves, if this is where I am now, and that's where I want to be there. If I did have 150,000, imagine that life as if it's right now. Step into that version of you right. You don't see it as a movie. Step into it. See it through your own eyes. Imagine you've got it already. Not you're getting it. Not it's coming right like this minute. You've already got it. It's happened. Kind of past tense. It's already happened. What does that feel like? And if you close your eyes and use your imagination, which you have complete control over. That's why in the Bible it says you have dominion over all things. Well, you've got dominion over what? Over your mind and the 6 faculties of your mind. 6 faculties are willpower, reason, perception, imagination, memory, and intuition. One of them is imagination. So we have dominion over imagination. So we close our eyes. Imagine what it feels like. That's not what it behaves like, does like, thinks like, feels like. So then I feel it and I stay in that for just a while. And I feel that feeling. And when I start feeling that feeling of having that sense of ease, I've got more financial abundance, I've got less problems with money, it's easy for me to pay for something, I never have to think twice. I'm feeling that feeling of freedom. I'm feeling the feeling of financial pressure easing. Now, in this very present moment, my vibration has risen to a different frequency that matches the 150,000. And you don't have to do that the whole day long. The laws of creation are so reliable and the power to manifest is so powerful. You need to do that for maybe 5 to 10 minutes. That's it, a day. That's all. So, if someone's never done this before, take your phone, put a timer on, and imagine yourself with whatever it is that you want. If it's health, imagine what it's like. Let's say you're a sore knee, walking around with no pain. It's not easy when you've got pain when you walk, but use your imagination and force that thought in your mind until it becomes easier and easier. Now, okay, I can imagine it now. I see myself walking, bending, brisk walking, going upstairs, going downstairs. Imagine it with no pain. Imagine it again with no pain. And now you get that feeling. When you've got that feeling, you're changing the state of vibration. That's all you need to do, because the law of attraction and all universal laws are always dependable, reliable, consistent, and they're always in play. You don't have to even understand them. You don't even have to believe that they work or that they're true. You don't. They work anyway. You just do your part, the universe does the rest. So the law of attraction says you get what you think about, whether you want it or not. So if a person says, what I think about, I don't want to be poor, I don't want to be poor, but what are you thinking about? What is the picture I have? Never mind, I do want, I don't want, that the mind can't have a picture for that. What's the picture about money? Oh, poor, I don't. No, well, the picture's poor. You can't say I don't want poor because the picture is poor. The law of attraction says you get what you think about, whether you want it or not. Okay, then that doesn't work. So let's talk about abundance or prosperity, wealth or financial ease or comfortable financially, whatever it is. Abundance. If I say, I want to be more prosperous, I'd love to have more money. Now the picture's different. The picture is more money. The picture is prosperous. The picture is abundant. So first of all, we're aware of that. We close our eyes. We see ourselves in that image as if it's already happened. We feel it until we can really get that feeling in our body, because emotion is a hyphenated word. It's supposed to be written E-motion, emotion, meaning energy in motion. If you feel the emotion move in your body, the energy move, you've made an impression on the subconscious mind and started to create a new belief. And what is that belief? It's what you just used your imagination to see. And if you did it again tomorrow, and did it again the next day, and did it again and again, your subconscious would feel and see that image again and again and again, make more and more impressions on the subconscious. And with repetition over time, you create a new belief. And it says, Napoleon Hill's words from Think and Grow Rich, what the mind can conceive and believe, it will achieve. So all you do is that, and in that present moment, when your theta vibration rises, the laws of the universe are God's laws. We can't change them. You will attract into your life a match to that feeling. And people say, oh, what about the rest of the day when my thoughts are negative? Okay, well, you need to help yourself there and be a little bit more positive, because that does compete. However, the visualizing for 10 minutes is so powerful, because a positive thought is hundreds, if not thousands times more powerful than a negative thought. It really is. So we do that every day. And as you do it all the time with repetition, you condition yourself to think prosperously, feel prosperously, and over and over again, you will start to be like that a little bit more naturally even. So then for the rest of the day, instead of complaining about anything, just find something to be grateful for. And that's really as simple as it is. And a person can start this on any goal and see for yourself. You'll start getting changes. That's it.
You gave so much of knowledge and insights there for anybody to be able to start working on. It felt like a complete education that just happened right now. So thank you for that. Out of that, the thought that I had in mind is something sometimes I have a little difficulty trying to understand is, yes, the thought is a conscious thought, but we have to convert that into a feeling, because that's what, as you explained, goes into the subconscious mind. And as you repeat that process, that's when the feeling really starts to create a strong, concrete foundation so that it changes your life. And you have to feel it in the present moment. But sometimes when you're setting a goal, you also have to set a timeline. So it almost feels like you're trying to feel it right now, but you also, it's like a competition. You're setting up something for the future. How do you try and work that out? It almost feels like conflict, like I'm working towards something. I know it's going to happen in the future, but at the same time, I'm trying to bring it into reality and feel and live it right now. How do you try and manage a situation like that where you want to feel it right now, but at the same time, you know it's something that's only going to happen in the future?
Yes, that's a good question. So there are actually 7 universal laws that work around creation or manifesting. The law of vibration is the same as the law of attraction. There's another one called the law of polarity, which means this: everything is an opposite. If it's got the left side, it's got a right side. Then it's got an up, it's got a down. So when it comes to the goal, let's have the goal again. Let's just use money because it's easy to work with and you can measure money. If I want to manifest more money, there's either where I am now, let's assume I've got no money. Where I am now is this side of the money subject, don't have. The other side is have. So when we're busy got our eyes closed and we're visualizing, we're at the have side of money. Now, this feels completely different to this side where I don't have money. The feeling is opposite. That's what's called the law of polarity. If I'm visualizing here and I'm feeling it, this frequency is way higher. It's like a radio tuning station, different frequency. Energy is a frequency. We'll attract according to that. The problem with people is they come out of their visualizing and then they go through their day and now they have to pay for a coffee. And as they're paying, they go, oh gosh, I got no money. And they're here. Then they think about, they actually worked on it this morning and they're so stressed. I've got no money. I hope I visualized enough. I don't have money. Then they go home in the evening. Something else happens. They go and buy groceries. They keep, I don't have money. Then they visualize again. They're there for 10 minutes the next day. But now during the day, they keep thinking, well, I've been doing this, visualizing, where's the money? They keep saying, the money hasn't come yet, the money hasn't come yet, the money hasn't come yet. You're literally creating the absence because you're aware of the absence all the time. The money hasn't shown up. The money hasn't shown up. So we need to be very careful with what we're thinking about throughout the day. So it's a simple process to understand, but it's not easy to apply consistently. You've got to have a lot of awareness. That's why gratitude is the golden key. I'll say it again and again. Gratitude journal in the morning if you have to. Gratitude journal again at night if you have to. If you're a chronic complainer or negative thinker, you need a lot of gratitude. If you're a more positive person, just be aware. It's probably easier for you. Gratitude, maybe journal every night or every morning, whatever you want. But be in a state of gratitude for everything. And after you visualize in the morning, I recommend it in the morning, having the money and that feeling, so you're visualizing, you're doing the work to get your goal. From then on, I'd say take the subject and throw it to the side. Get it out of your mind. Focus on what you got to do in the day. Focus on your next best step. Whatever it is that you're doing, focus on your kids, if you've got a dog that you love, kiss the dog, kiss the cat. Be happy as much as you can and try to get off the money subject if it's full of angst, if it's full of need, if it's full of resistance. You're not going to manifest easily. It's often when people forget about the subject and they just have gratitude for everything else in their life, that this thing that they really want just shows up. But when they focus on it too much, it's full of resistance because you actually have a subconscious awareness it hasn't shown up. So I tend to, with whatever it is that I really want, I program for it, and then as best as possible, I try not to think about it, but if it does come in my mind and I get a worried feeling or negative feeling, then I immediately close my eyes. I just bring back that scene that I was visualizing, even if it takes 10 seconds or 30 seconds, and I get back that feeling. If a person has done the Silva method, you've got something called the 3-finger technique, which was an anchor. We lock in a good feeling. So in the morning when you visualize that goal and achieving it, when you're in the perfect outcome image and you've achieved it, and you've got that perfect state of success, we lock it in with our 3-finger technique and we say, whenever I have a need or desire to feel this way, think this way, believe or behave this way, all I need to do is put my 3 fingers together and it will be so. So in the day, if I think about the subject of money and I get a negative worrying feeling, I can take a deep breath, go like this, and I instantly bring back that high feeling, and then I override it. And you keep doing that. And anytime you think of the goal, if you do that and feel that positive feeling again, you're connecting energetically with your goal. And that's reinforcing. If a person really did this, not just listen to me telling you, but actually practiced it, I can tell you, if you did this every day for 7 days, just 7 days, you would blow your socks off as to what happened. You will attract something. Something will happen. Absolutely. There's no shadow of a doubt. So it's really a lot of awareness on many levels. And the first thing is when I said you got to know what you want, you got to know what you want very clearly in measurable terms. You got to know by when you want it and be able to say that. You need to relax when you're visualizing. You can't be tense. You need to relax. That's why I take 2 to 3 minutes of slow breaths or conscious that you're relaxing your body, any tension in your body. Because when you're relaxed, it's easy to impress the subconscious. That's why in the Silva method, we first relax and then we do the visualizing. You got to relax. Then you got to visualize. Then you got to feel the emotion of it whilst you're visualizing. And you got to get familiar with that state, that feeling. And then when you come out, forget the subject. But if it does pop in your head, make sure when you think about your goal, you think about that high positive state. And if you do find yourself getting to that worrying again, just remember it's an old habit pattern. And you got to keep practicing the opposite. The first time it's not easy, second time it's not easy, but it gets a little bit easier and easier over time. Maybe after 3 or 4 days, it's even easier. After a week, it is easier. And then it gets even easier. Just got to stay with it and stay persistent. And then When it comes to manifesting, if you're making notes, you want to write this down. An idea is the first manifestation, not the money landing in your lap. It's generally, most often, an idea. You'll be idly driving, walking, having a shower, and you think, something to do with an idea. It can take you in the direction of that goal. It's some simple idea. That's intuition. That's guidance from a higher source, helping you get what you want, because it's the law of attraction is bringing you ideas, circumstances, conditions, people, resources. Things will be attracted to you. But an idea is something people often dismiss. When you get that idea, I suggest you write it down. It's like a gift. Write it down because you will forget it. Intuition doesn't hang around. It's not like something you'll really remember. You won't. So either write it down or act on it straight away. But do be obedient because it's a gift. So act on it. And I found in my life it'll be something like this. I've got personal development training, coaching business, and I've got a business where I help people invest in property. I've got goals in both my businesses. I can be idly doing nothing. I could be lying in bed or driving or in the shower. And I suddenly get the thought, hey, someone that I sold a property to 5 years ago pops in my head. I haven't spoken to them for 5 years. I know that's guidance. I know that's intuition. It's just a subtle thought. It comes and it goes. Now, anybody would dismiss that. They go, it just popped in my head. And people would dismiss that. But from years and years of training with the Silva method, I know that's an intuitive insight, a little bit of a guiding impulse, like a hunch. I immediately know what that means. Once I'm dressed and I'm at work, I'll just call this person. That's all I do. I took the step. When I say, hello, how are you going? They'll say to me, Jeanine, I'm so glad you called. This is what happens every time. I'm so glad you called. I wanted to review my property portfolio. I know I've got enough equity in this property that I've had for 5 years, and I'm thinking of buying another one. Can you help me? There we go. And then we start the process, and I most likely sell them a property. Now, the way that happened wasn't just landed in my lap, the money. It was just a fleeting idea through intuition. So an idea is often the first manifestation. You've got to take action because the law, another law, the law of cause and effect, you've got to be the cause. You must always be the cause. Visualizing, you're the cause, you've been causative. Having positive thinking, you're the cause. Knowing what you want, writing out your goal, write it out. It's the best way to know for sure that you are clear on what you want. Every personal development teacher on the planet says, write out your goal. Do you know that once you've written your goal, that's the first physical manifestation of it? It might not be the exact end result, but it's the first manifestation of the unfolding of that goal. So write that out is important. So that's it. I hope that was helpful.
Absolutely. I was listening to a talk by Ken Kosher, and he was talking about co-creating. And I think you covered it quite well because at the time, I had a little bit of I was trying to just bring that gap down between your desire and letting go of the expectation. Where you have the desire, you have a goal, and you feel like you're achieving it, but then you also have to let it go. And you spoke about that, where you do the exercise, you do the meditation or the long relax in that moment. But once you're out of that, you just set it aside and you continue. And if anything negative does come into your mind, I love the fact that you said about gratitude. But so, for example, let's say you're trying to attract an abundance of money into your life, but you don't really have that much. If somebody comes and asks you for money, a beggar or a friend or somebody comes and helps you, asks you for help, instead of thinking to yourself or saying, I don't have any, because now you're sending out the exact wrong message, is to be grateful for what you have and offer, even if it's just a little bit. Because at the end of the day, is the moment you start sending out a message that you are willing to give money, automatically the law of resonance comes into play and you start attracting the money. So being grateful for what you have, being able to act accordingly. So if you did have, say, R1 million or dollars and you were willing to give 1,000, if now you only have 1,000 and if you're willing to give 10, then that's also fine because the subconscious mind and the laws of this universe don't worry about the quantity. It's looking at the action and the behavior. So it's going to mimic that and you'll automatically start attracting that. So being in that state of gratitude instead of a feeling of lack will definitely help you to start dealing with the dissonance between This is the desire, and this is my expectation, keeping you in the present and allowing you just to do something that's going to take you, even if it's just one step forward, then it's taking you in the right direction. But my question I have is, you spoke about co-creation. So if you can maybe expand on that component of manifesting. When you speak of co-creation, what exactly is he alluding to?
Perfect. So we co-create with universal law. So these are, it depends on a person's belief. For me, I'm a person of faith, so I talk about God. These are God's laws. The whole universe obeys these laws. Nothing exists or behaves outside of these laws. So one of them is the law of cause and effect. We discussed that. Another one is the law of vibration. Like attracts like. So if you think positive, you'll get more positive. Think grateful, get more positive. Another law, which you just spoke about, is the law of relativity. The law of relativity says this. Is this thing big or small? I don't know. Is it big or small? Well, compared to this, okay, that's the same. But compared to something bigger like this, it's small. But compared to something small like this, it's big. So it's not big or small unless you relate it to something. So when you use the law of relativity, which is co-creating with the laws, and you live in harmony with the law of relativity, it's you saying, here's a beggar asking me for money, and I'm trying to create money. But if I just give him a little bit, like you said, if I just give him $10 and I've only got 200 left, giving him $10, relatively speaking, you are more abundant than the beggar. Is that not right? Not there. You comparing yourself to someone who's got much more than you, and now relatively speaking, you're poor. So you use the law of relativity against yourself, and you look at, they've got everything and I don't have it. Now you're using it against you. But get rid of that thought and look at the beggar. Compared to the beggar, you are rich and he is poor. So if you focus on the people who have less than you do, you have more gratitude. And now you're using the law of relativity in your favor. Then the other law was the law of polarity, which was the opposite here. So stay on the side of the feeling of having. Don't pay any attention to reality with your five senses. I know we're conditioned to, but do your best not to pay attention to what you see, your bank balance. Try not to pay attention to that. Pay more attention to the vision you held in your mind when you were visualizing. Try to do that. That's the law of polarity. Stay on that side. The other one is the law of gender. The law of gender is an incubation period. A tomato seed takes so many days and then it becomes a plant. A corn, same thing. A baby, 9 months, whatever it is. We don't know the incubation period for an idea, for a goal, a dream. But you have to understand that there is an incubation period. There is a gestation period. And that's called timing. So the best thing is to have faith in yourself, faith in your purpose, faith in a higher power, faith in the laws of creation, that as long as you are doing your bit, the laws will do their bit and bring into your life what it is that you want. So that's the other law of gestation. Then there's also the law of rhythm. The tide goes in, the tide goes out. The sun goes, rises in the east, sets in the west. Moon cycles, sun cycles. Everything is in a rhythm. So we know nothing ever stays the same. And it goes like this no matter who you are. There's some good times and there's some bad times. So if you're right now in a place of bad times, be positive, knowing that good times are ahead. And if you're in good times, don't expect bad times. I'm not saying that. Just give a lot of gratitude for where you are. Hold as much gratitude as you can. It just helps you maintain that flow and that stability in your life. The other one is the law of transmutation of energy. Energy is moving into form. What it means is energy is not created or destroyed. That's physics. It's transferred. It changes form. So the idea, call that client, that idea is a spiritual seed into my head from the mind of God. It's not my idea. That just popped in my head. It's coming because I've been visualizing to create my goal. I get an idea. That's the first manifestation. Spiritual idea. Then I think about it. Oh, this person bought a property 5 years ago. I need to call them. Now it's an intellectual seed. Then I take the action. Now I'm in physical behavior on the physical plane. And then that's cause. I'm the cause, then there'll be an effect. The person will respond to what I'm doing. I've taken the action. So that's the other law, the law of energy moving into form. The law of attraction is just another term for the law of vibration, that everything's in a state of vibration. What is the other law? If I mention them all. If I haven't, it'll come to me. So when we co-create, it means that you using your mind, you have dominion over your mind. You have dominion over all things, meaning you can think any thought you wish. Now, that doesn't mean that people do it. Many people aren't paying attention to what they think. They just let in their mind go crazy with all these worrying thoughts all day, and they live like that. That's them. I can't change that. But there's a true statistic. Only 2% of the world think for themselves. I know it sounds scary and really ridiculous, but this has been written about for hundreds of years in all the most profound personal development books and philosophy books, that only 2% of people think for themselves. The rest are just drifters. They just go with the mass thinking. So if a person's listening to this podcast, I guarantee you they are the 2% because they want to know how to manifest. You, Sudesh, are the 2%. I know I'm the 2%. I want to create my own reality. So I use my mind, all the things I've said, thinking positively, no negative self-talk, using affirmations if I have to, visualizing, using gratitude, whatever it is, taking action. I am now being the cause. The effect is all these laws that are responding to my thoughts and my feeling. These laws are helping me create, that we are co-creating. So some people say I co-create with source. Yes, it's true. But what about source? Well, it's about these laws that are undeviating. Positive thoughts give positive outcomes. Every time, for everybody, for every era, for infinity, for eternity. It applies to everybody. That's the truth. Positive thoughts give positive outcomes. That means, how does it do that? Because it's by law. It happens by law. So goal setting is an intellectual process. We do it in the mind. But goal achieving or manifesting is a lawful process. It happens by law. It doesn't happen any other way. It's not by luck or by chance. It's by law. Positive thoughts, positive outcomes. Negative thoughts, negative outcomes. You cannot get a positive outcome from a negative thought. It's never going to happen, not for anybody ever. So when people worry about money, what are you doing? That's a high, powerful form of negative visualization. Worrying is not only negative thoughts and images, it's full of feeling, which is very powerful to manifest. So we need to be aware. Don't worry, don't complain, don't stress. And how do you do that? Well, start your day with a meditation. Pray if you're a person of faith. Put faith in a higher power. Be grateful throughout your day. Speak positively with your words. Never speak in terms of what you don't want. I don't want to be broke. I don't want to be sick. I don't want to be unhappy. Look how positive I am. No, because what are the images in your mind? Broke, sick, unhappy. You got to say, I want to be healthy. I'd love to be prosperous. I'd love to be in a loving, happy relationship. Okay, those are positive images. So it's this awareness all the time that we're not victims. That's the awareness. We are not victims. Life's not happening to you. You're creating it all the time. So instead of complaining if it's not good, ask yourself, well, what am I actually doing all day to create this bad stuff? Am I being negative all day? Sure, you probably are. Am I in my head just ruminating? And yes, probably you are. What can I do? Calm the mind down. Start a practice of daily meditation, even if it's 5 minutes in the morning. But find it on YouTube, find it in a podcast, find it somewhere. Use the Silva method, long, relax, and free. But do something to calm the mind and start your day there with gratitude and positive thoughts and a positive visualization. It will start to help improve your life.
I love the way you explain co-creation, where you're working in conjunction with all these laws. And I was thinking of what Greg Braden has said about that we are all actually participants. Whatever is happening within us and around us, we are active participants. And they talk of the butterfly effect, so a leaf blows down on a tree in one part of the world and there's a thunderstorm or a tornado happening somewhere else. But it's the fact that there's this connection, across everything, all life on this planet and in this universe. And whatever we're doing, it is the law of relativity. It's impacting something somewhere along the line. And that is how we're co-creating. It's saying that we are never alone. Wherever we are, whatever we're doing, we're always co-creating because we're impacting our environment, the people in our family, work, wherever we are, whatever we are doing, we actually are co-creating all the time. And as you were going through the different laws, I was just wondering to myself if there's a law of persistence, because sometimes we end up in a cycle where we want something so bad. And they say insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different outcome. But sometimes we don't see that. We only see our goal and we want to work toward it and we keep trying. And maybe we're making the same mistakes all the time, but we become oblivious to that. So it might appear on the outside as persistent or stubbornness, but in some way, we're becoming an obstacle for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
How would you guide somebody like that for them to come into that awareness and then to find a way to get out of that cycle and then get back onto a more constructive path?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I'm not sure of the situation of the person, but maybe the person's a conscious creator and they're trying so hard, but they're not getting the result. Or someone else is not a conscious creator and they're just having a life of struggle. Because they probably, if it's that case, they probably got too many negative thoughts, negative beliefs, and they need to get onto some personal development program or read a book or do something. But let's talk about the person who's a conscious creator. So I have a coaching client who is a Silva Method graduate, has actually done the Silva Method twice, and was using a technique of visualizing called Mirror of the Mind every day for months. Okay, no result. So then she came to coach with me and asked me about this goal. And the way she was talking, she was annoyed. She was a bit frustrated. She was exhausted from doing this over and over again and not getting a result. It was like, when's it going to happen for me? So as I'm listening to her, I can sense all this resistance in there. And I said, how do you feel about doing the Mirror of the Mind every day? She goes, well, I have to do it whatever. So I said, is it like homework? She goes, yeah, it's like homework. I said, okay, stop. I said, don't do it. So we coach every week, we see each other. I said, for the next week, do not do it. Because if it's homework, you're not enjoying it. It's like, oh, I have to do this. That's the wrong energy. You can't bring the wrong energy to the right technique. You'll negate it. So I said, don't do it. She goes, okay. I said, but what you can do is something a bit different. And only do this if you want to. If you don't want to, please don't do anything. So just relax. Have some fun. That's what I wanted to say. Really have some fun. Be in a happy state. But I said, if you want to do something, do this. And I've got it in my own phone. I put a timer on for 10 minutes. All I do, Sudesh, and this is a Silva Method trainer. So I've got all the techniques. I've used them. They do work. But this I found is like amazing. Like it's like a miracle. I just close my eyes and all I do is feel the feeling. If someone's making notes, just write down there, feel the feeling. What's the feeling? Or whatever it is that I want. Let's say I've got this big goal of where I'd like to be a year from now. In my business, this is me, I'm quite business focused. In my business, in my money, in my financial status, in my success, in how many people I've impacted their lives, how many classes I've run, whatever, all of that, I have an idea of how that should be and how happy and healthy I am and my personal relationships in life, all of that. So when I close my eyes and feel the feeling, I just cast myself a year forward. This has already happened and I just have some scene that I'm celebrating. It's already happened. So I'm in the celebrating of this thing. So I close my eyes and I just feel the feeling and I'm just enjoying the memory of the year behind and it's all come together and maybe I'm looking at a financial statement. Maybe I'm giving a bonus to Nancy who works with me. Maybe I'm buying airplane tickets to some holiday, whatever it may be. But I'm enjoying the celebration and I feel the feeling of accomplishment. Not going through the accomplishing, actually afterwards, the accomplishment. And then I just feel that feeling, and your mind naturally creates images and things, and you have no contradictory thought, none, zero. Just this positive feeling until the buzzer goes on the phone, come out, and I have my day. So I told the coaching client, try this. She manifested what she wanted in a week. So she's looking for a new job, okay, and a certain amount of money. So if you're trying too hard, you're quite right. We can have too much resistance in there. You know, in the Silva method, we say the 3 steps are desire, belief, and expectancy. But there's something else, which is expectation. It's not exactly the same as expectancy. Expectation breeds frustration. If you expect it to show up and it doesn't, you expect it to show up and it doesn't, you're going to get a bit frustrated. So we don't want that. Don't focus on the expectation. Just focus on the process of visualizing and feeling the feeling and being grateful. Just focus on that day in and day out. Being positive, having fun, stop complaining, speaking positive terms. Just focus on that you do. Don't worry about the result. I always say to people, focus on sowing. Never focus on reaping. The minute you focus on reaping, you're going to be aware, I haven't reaped yet. It hasn't come yet. There's no harvest. Forget about the reaping. Sow day in and day out. What you sow, you shall reap, but not in the same season. So just give up the timing and be patient, trust the universe, and just focus on sowing. If I can just touch on something that you said earlier about giving the poor person a bit of money. When it comes to prosperity and manifesting, especially with money, not health and relationships, money, there is a law of prosperity. There are several laws of prosperity. And one of them is forgiveness. And the other one is tithing. Tithing is an absolute spiritual law. Talk about laws and co-creating. It's a law. And it does work. And nobody ever on planet Earth has ever got poor from giving. Ever. There's not a person who's got poor from giving. So people who say, oh, I don't even have money and I can't give, you're never going to have enough money, I'll tell you now. But if you're willing to practice tithing, you will change your financial status. I'm absolutely guarantee it. And by the way, in the Bible, in Malachi 3:10, it says, bring your tithes to the storehouse, that there may be food on the table. Prove me now, says the Lord, that I may open the windows of heaven and throw out a blessing so big you won't have room enough to store it. Prove me now. It's the only place in the entire Bible that God says, prove me. Tithe, and I'll prove it to you. That I'll open the windows of heaven and cast out a blessing so big you won't have room enough to store it. The tithing is giving 10% of every dollar or rand you earn. And you think, I can't afford that. Do you know how much I earn? I've got to pay all these bills. I understand that. I haven't got time to go into the lesson now, but please listen to the lesson. But we do need to tithe. And that thing, when you gave that poor guy that bit of money, in that moment, your runneth over more than the poor man. In that moment, you were definitely, without a doubt, more prosperous, more abundant, and more rich and more wealthy than that poor guy. And that's the feeling that creates more abundance. And giving is it's another law of circulation. As you sow, you shall reap. Cause and effect. As you give, so you shall receive. So when you don't have money, the best thing to do is give money. It'll start the flow. If you want love, give love. It'll start the flow. If you're short of time, give time willingly with an open heart. You'll suddenly have more time. Anything you want, the law of economics, you have to give to get. On any front, you want a good body, you have to give time in the gym. You get the good body. You want a degree, you've got to give years of learning and studying and exams. You get it. It's the same with money. You got to give. And then you get. So I just want to talk about tithing there and forgiveness. If anyone has a block with money, the only question you have to ask yourself is, who do I need to forgive? And don't ignore it. Actively go ahead, find a process, do your research, Google it, I don't know what. But find a way to let that go. Just let it go. You can't change the past. Bless the situation. And if it's hard for you, just say, I forgive you for not being who I expected you to be. I forgive you for not being who I expected you to be. Then it takes away all that You expected something and they weren't that. And if it's yourself, please forgive yourself. Just don't ever hold on to resentment or anger or regret with yourself. And as you do more forgiveness and more tithing, money starts to just flood in.
Wonderful. That's brilliant. I love the knowledge and insights that you shared specifically around money, financial status. It's such a big concern for a lot of people, especially in the environment that we are in. A lot of people are struggling. They don't know how to get out of it. And you gave some very simple ways to at least start in that direction with forgiveness and tithing. Thank you so much, Jenny. Today has been really more than I think my cup is overflowing with the knowledge. I'm going to have to watch the video several times and definitely will be making lots and lots of notes because you've just filled it with so much of information that I'm sure that anybody who's going to be consuming that will able to take that information and bring it into their life.
Thank you, Sudesh. Thank you so much. And thank you for the opportunity to chat with you on your wonderful podcast. Well done.